Christmas Eve 2020, and we finally got some sort of a Brexit deal after 4.5 years. Well, at least the charade of no deal is over. I never believed a word of that. I think that was the government trying to say to us, we're battling hard for you. So what does it all mean? Well, I've got concerns, of course I have. Concerns that the fishing industry, another 5.5 years of too many fish being caught in British waters by EU boats and a very slow phase-in of increased quota. Does it mean, for example, that in Cornwall, Cornish fishermen can land bluefin tuna next year alongside the French and the Spanish and Portuguese who land 24,500 tonnes? I don't know the answer yet, and that's because we haven't yet seen the document. We're told it's going to be almost 2,000 pages. The other big concern is I saw Ursula von der Leyen today basically saying, look, the Brits have agreed that they're going to stay with the EU rulebook. So we'll be making our own laws, but staying roughly in parallel with the rest of the EU. And that equally is a big concern because, part of leaving is about us becoming more competitive, getting more money being invested in Britain from all over the world. So they're the two areas that I'm concerned about. What I was pleased about was when Monsieur Barnier looked a little crestfallen when he said the British have not agreed to cooperate in terms of foreign policy and defence. Well, let's hope that stays that way, because that's a big step forward from where we were just a year ago. There will be, of course, over the next weeks, some real analysis of what all of this means. But the big point, I think, to hoist on board today is this. The Brexit wars have gone on really relentlessly since the Maastricht Treaty. That big rebellion 30 years ago when people tried to stop John Major from signing the treaty that turned it into a European Union. And it was shortly before that when I became engaged in this battle, and I completely gave up hope that the rebels in the Conservative or Labour Party would ever be able to achieve anything. And I decided to fight this from without. I did it through UKIP for over a quarter of a century, and then latterly through the Brexit Party. And here's the really important thing to remember. Imperfect though this new EU treaty may be, we have made the most colossal step forward. Leaving the EU is the biggest constitutional change in our country for 300 years. It may not feel like that to some in Northern Ireland today, but overall for the UK, it is. And something, we're already finding countries all over the world that want to sign trade agreements with us. There'll be skirmishes to come, but the big war, the big battle that we've had, and our battle has not just been against Brussels, it's been against the establishment in Britain. The Conservative Party were the party of Europe. They've now become the party of Brexit, and it only happened because millions of you were prepared to vote UKIP. Millions of you were prepared to vote for the Brexit Party. This was a genuine democratic revolution that took place within our country. You stood up, you did different, you voted in a different way to your parents and grandparents because you wanted change. As I say, this may not be perfect, but we've left and there's no going back. We're not rejoining the single market, we're not rejoining the customs union, we're not rejoining the EU, and we're never, ever going to join the euro. And unlike Boris Johnson, who spoke today in glowing terms about the European Union as an organisation, I see it as an anti-democratic monster that's doing huge harm to other countries in Europe. And I think history will show that not only did you, by daring to stand up against the establishment, not only did you get the independence of the United Kingdom, but you began the breakup of this project that has done so much damage to so many people right across the European continent. So today, or at least the 1st of January, when it happens, marks a very big moment. Huge moment in my life after 30 years of fighting for this. Big moment in British history. In years to come, it'll mark a big moment, I think, too, in European and in global history. I want to wish you a happy Christmas. I want to go to the pub now, really, and celebrate. But we're not allowed to do that anymore. So have as good a Christmas as you possibly can. And remember, this may not be perfect, but the war war is over.